The last Australian tour to India was a bloodbath. It felt like there were more wickets than runs being scored. In the last decade, teams have turned up to India just to be dismissed cheaply. India has their greatest bowling attack ever, but also the pitches are treacherous. And yet, last time Australia toured, something a little bit odd happened. Travis Head, who Australia were reluctant to even use on those pitches in the first place, ended up with over 200 runs from his 3 tests and also at a faster rate than anyone else. It wasn't always pretty and he was out of control at times. And that's one of the reasons I thought of him. The other is the name that people now sometimes use around him. And this is ironic because the Australians do not like the term Bazball.
Like Collins' dictionary have added Bazball into there. So when you go to the dictionary, you'll see Bazball in there. Is that surprising?
Oh man, that is garbage.
And of course, to take the piss further, the name Travball started being used as well. And for a while, Head was really smashing it around. He has since slowed down a little bit, but he still has that gear when needed. In the last 2 years, Head has the 3rd fastest strike rate in the world. But look at all the players around him. He is completely surrounded by English batters here. And so this isn't just a convenient nickname. Head really does play a one-man brand of Bazball. And he did it on Indian pitches. So if it worked for him, can it work for his brothers in slog? Essentially, will England's Bazball work inside India? So if you need a VPN, go Nord. Use nordvpn.com/Kimber to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 additional months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. Protect your computer like a cricketer protects its nether region with NordVPN today. This is one of the most interesting experiments in tests. I mean, Bazball on its own. But England travelling to India to face the world's greatest spinners on wickets set up to be nearly impossible to play on. So what will actually happen? Bazball is so new that we've only seen it in 3 locations so far. And outside of at home, where the wickets were also changed to help this new style a little bit, Pakistan and New Zealand are the 2 places that already had the highest batting averages in the world. So we know that it will work on fairly flat pitches. But it is worth looking at just how England's new method might go down on the Indian wickets. And some people will say, well, it worked pretty well in Asia so far, but that was on the Pakistan pitches. And while technically both are Asian, they're as similar to each other as a wolf and a dachshund. So this series will be hella different for England from anything else they have done so far. So we will definitely learn some things like how Bazball works against great spin and also on mega bowler friendly surfaces. And the one thing we're pretty certain of is that India has been doing everything they can to create low scoring matches. That is actually what allowed Australia to snatch a test against them on that last tour. The Aussies only managed 197 in their first innings, but that was still enough to ensure a 76-run chase in the final. The flaw with India's plans to make the wicket so jacked for spin is that they can make results a little bit more random. And the other thing that low-scoring matches do is that it allows for one guy having a mad session to have a huge impact on the game. And with that in mind, I want to point out a match last time when England toured where they got absolutely slapped around the ear holes. India won this test by 10 wickets. But something from that match has stuck with me for quite a while. Crawley's innings. He scored 53 of England's first 80 runs when he was the 4th batter out. His innings lasted only 84 balls. If that innings happened today, he would have scored at least a run a ball. His slowest 50 in the Bazball era is a strike rate of 81, but mostly they've been quicker than a run a ball. So if he faced 84 deliveries now, and we are going completely into the hypothetical theatre here, he would be around 90 runs. Well, in that test, India only made 145 in their first innings. That was the exact kind of wicket we expect this time, albeit the pink ball did do weird shit on that Ahmedabad surface as well. But if the old flawed Crawley can make a decent 50 in a low-scoring game, then surely the cigar-chomping Zach can smack around the odd 80 or 90. And let's be honest, there are a lot of players like him in this side. And suppose the majority of the matches have small totals, in that case, the England players swinging their big dicks around everywhere will have a surprisingly large impact. And that's even if the majority of times they fail. However, since we're talking about Crawley, let's have a look at his record in Asia. But let's take out Pakistan for a moment, because those pitches are a lot more friendly to batting and don't spin all that much. In the rest of Asia against spin, he averages 6. Now, it is only from 4 tests in India and Sri Lanka, and it is before the McCullum revolution. But 6 is not good. In fact, this entire list is not good. Outside of Root, Butler is retired, Lawrence is next best, and he wasn't originally in this squad, although he's now come in to replace Harry Brooks. But even so, we're talking about a 30 average. Then you have Stokes, who is averaging under 20, Bairstow just above 20, and Ollie Pope back under it again. Even Ben Foakes has been struggling with spin in these conditions. And remember, all of these numbers are from when they were trying to bat normally. So you might actually ask what they have to lose by just pressing the turbo button down. So what I really wanted to look at was fast scoring inside of India. In the middle of this graph, we have the average for playing aggressive shots in the world over the last 5 years. Just under 69 runs per wicket. And that might seem high, but remember that test players usually only attack when the ball is in their favour. But you can see that against Indian spinners on those wickets, teams are still averaging 60 runs per act of aggression. That is still way better than the global mark. But not so much that you would think that you shouldn't try it. The most interesting thing here is that their paces are getting scored on a lot at home. Injuries have played a small part in this, but mostly it's just been the wickets. So even if India only bowls 6 overs of pace early on, England can attack this so much that they might actually score 40 or 50 runs from those deliveries. But eventually, you are going to have to attack the spinners. And what is unknown is how much carnage England can maintain while the spinners are on without them all being dismissed quite cheaply. It's very unlikely that England is going to score 60 runs per aggressive shot, but they don't have to. If they play enough aggressive shots, they can create chaos back on the Indian spinners who are used to bowling to confused defensive targets. The ultra aggression probably won't work for England, but defending last time also did not work for them. So let's say they actually throw their bats around a little bit and they get some good regular, slightly above par totals. For those scores to work, England still needs to take wickets. Anderson and Leach are the only two you can rely on in Asia, and even then, Anderson will not play in all the tests. Everyone else in this attack is a question mark. Root will take a couple of wickets, but being that India doesn't have many left-handers, he will struggle to have a regular impact. Mark Wood and Ollie Robertson at least know what it is like to bowl in Asia, but neither would be seen as major players there. And my guess is that Gus Atkinson will play as well, so they will probably have a quick and a skill seamer pairing for each match. And the Pacers have a pretty good average when they get a chance on Indian pitches in the last few years. The real question is on what kind of usage, because for a few years the idea of turning up with quicks for India actually made a little bit of sense. Last 3 years, the spinners are bowling a lot more. England will have to take at least 60% of their wickets with spin. Leach is fine, but with him, they have Root as a high-functioning part-timer, Rehan Ahmed, who might be too slow, and 2 prospect finger spinners. However, if you compare this to Australia of recent times, they had Lyon, Head, Murphy, and Kuhnemann. It is quite similar, but Australia only won a single test. And obviously, England will be hoping for slightly better than that. And in some ways, England have a higher ceiling than Australia did on that last tour, because Bazball is so random and India have already lost a single test to its philosophy. But if they have a higher ceiling, they also have a way lower floor. And a 5-0 drubbing is very possible looking at their team on paper. Also, Bazball isn't as new anymore. The honeymoon period was incredible, except for one time when South African bowlers ran riot. In their last 7 matches, however, they have 3 wins, and one of those is against Ireland. Teams have adapted. And this is the biggest challenge yet for this philosophy. India is a monster prowling a cricket field. It would not appear to be a fair fight. India's 4th best spinner is probably going to be better than your number 1 option. And while the Indian batting is struggling on these wickets at times, they still have enough top-class players who are better on these wickets than almost anyone England has. And for all the talk of Bazball, again, England will turn up to India with the need for Joe Root to outbat 2, or maybe even 3 Indian stars, and then also be an all-rounder who takes, 15 or 20 wickets in the series. Root has made nearly 1,000 runs on Indian pitches, and outside of a couple of good Asian players who haven't been there that often, and Steve Smith, he has the 4th best average. The last time England came here, it felt like Joe Root versus India, and yeah, he might be the least Bazball player of all their side, but he's pretty much their only good batter against spin. Funky fields, weird declarations, and slugging like loons are all important. And all of these might have their days. Bazball is such a unique way of playing that it could work at times, but probably only for small moments, and even if it works really well, it might only sway 1 or 2 tests. So as usual, when England turned up to India, their best chance is going to be root ball. A lot of people complain that I'm not a former cricketer, and so that I don't really know the game. Well, you know what they can't claim? Then I don't know desks. I've been using desks for years. I'm a collector of desks, old and new, and I am sitting on a new one right now. I am the Don Bradman of sitting at desks. So when I tell you that the E7 Pro next generation height adjustable desk from Flexispot is legit, this is like Michael Jordan talking to you about sneakers. This desk holds 160 kilograms. It is as stable as anything I've ever seen, and it has under-desk cable management. But really, the main skill here is that this desk rises and falls at the push of a button, and it moves super quick. And it has so many settings that remember your favorite heights. It really does it all. And I could not recommend the E7 Pro from Flexispot anymore, even though I am currently sitting on one of Flexispot's BS12 Pro multifunctional, adjustable, upgraded fabric, ergonomic chairs. My butt and computer have never been happier than when using one of Flexispot's products. So get over to their page right now for big savings.